Hello everyone and welcome to the beginning of the top 20 of my top 100 albums of all time. Yes, we're getting closer and closer to that number one spot. This list was started back last year in about July or August. The cut-off point was indeed August. So let's get on with it, shall we? In at number 19, you knew this band were going to end up on here at least a couple of times. Yes, it is Fear Factory with their seminal second album, Demanufacture, or technically their third album if you want to count Concrete as their very first album. But since that was never released, I'm going to say second album. This was the album that got me into the band. Simple as that. And as many of you know, I am a huge Fear Factory fan. There's been a few small hints over the years about that, and the tattoo I've got on my arm is another very subtle hint. But this album blew me away when I first heard me and converted me to the ways of Burton C. Bell's amazing voice and Dino Cazares' interesting industrial guitaring. To make themselves sound this machine-like on album after album is interesting, and to bring in that human element, it just intrigued me, along with the whole concept of their albums as well. And this was my introduction to them. If you've never heard Fear Factory before, I'll probably say start with this album or Archetype. But no, yeah, start with this album. Time for some grindcore at number 18. The one and only Napalm Death and their debut album, Scum. Another UK band, what can I say? I love my UK based metal. It's not just because I'm from the UK, it's that we have a lot of bands here that some have got huge, some are not so well known and deserve to be well known. So, but Napalm Death, everyone knows Napalm Death, and admittedly, although the vocals on some of the songs on here do just sound like a small dog barking, it has to be said. Don't even Napalm Death fans probably can't deny that. This is an absolute seminal piece of work, probably helped to popularise, as it were, the grindcore genre. And not only did this help launch Lee Dorian's music career, but from this he then went and formed a band that was completely different and started to help influence the entire doom genre with Cathedral. So there you go, Napalm Death with Scum in here at number 18. It's an absolute classic. In at number 17 is my favourite Korn album, Life is Peachy. Bit of a strange choice because a lot of people think this is a very kind of weirdly sequenced album with a lot of filler songs. Personally though, if you take the album as a whole, I find this is their best album. Yes, it is flawed, there's a few flawed songs on that, but sometimes those flaws kind of help balance the album out a bit. And yes, there's a couple of throwaway songs. I mean, Adidas, as much of it's an anthem, as much as I enjoy it, is a bit of a throwaway song, but at the same time you can't help but sing it, and just something really clicks with me with this album, which is why it's at number 17 here on this list, and it is my favourite Korn album of all time. Another obscure one at number 16 from an unsigned band here in the UK who have taken about a year off, but hopefully will be back this year, and it's Hearts Under Fire with their debut album Outlines. The band are unsigned and members are currently in other bands such as the Frankleys and Screechbats as well, but Hearts Under Fire released their debut album a couple of years ago and it absolutely blew me away. In fact, I believe it was one of my best albums of the year that they brought it out. It might well have been number one on the best albums list. This is just the perfection of commercial rock, and don't get that wrong. I'm not saying it's pop. This is rock that you can sing along with, that is emotional, that is perfectly written, absolutely not one single filler song on this album. And if a record label can hear this, or if someone can help fund them and get them going, I want to do it myself. If I had a record label, I'd have signed them already. This is a band who could have the potential to get absolutely huge with the right backing. So we're in 2018. Here's to Hearts Under Fire coming back. In at number 15, one of the greatest black metal bands to ever exist, and one of their greatest albums, for me anyway, Emperor and Anthems to the Welkin at Dusk. What can be said? Emperor are absolutely legendary in the black metal community, and this album just nailed the entire sound for me. Other people I know prefer it in the Nightside Eclipse. Quite a lot of people prefer it in the Nightside Eclipse. I love that album. I love all the Emperor albums, but for me this has always been the one that really struck a chord with me. But really, if you've not heard Emperor but have an interest in black metal, go listen to all their albums, but I'd say definitely start with this one. In at number 14, one of the greatest goth bands and goth albums ever recorded. It's Typo Negative and Bloody Kisses. This is another absolutely superb album. I'm sure you've all heard this album by now. If not, why are you listening to me? Go listen to it. Go listen to it on SoundCloud or Sonify, whatever. You know, I've forgotten the names of stuff, but go listen to it. This is an absolute masterclass in goth writing, while still having a real wry black humour to it, and a humour that, while being a goth band, also completely and utterly takes the utter piss out of goth, as it were, as a genre. Let's face it, Pete Steele was 1 in a million as a songwriter, and we miss him every day. His presence, and Typo Negative's presence in the goth and indeed the music scene in general, is dearly missed and will continue to be so forever. A legendary band, a legendary album. Reggae metal. Now there's something that not many people would probably think would work, but here at number 13 is a debut album by a Welsh reggae metal band, Skindred, called Babylon. This was a bolt from the blue. It really was when this came out. I originally found the band because they were supporting, of all bleeding bands, Lost Prophets here in Southend back in, must have been 2001, 2002. And they blew Lost Prophets off stage, it has to be said. Apart from what's happened with Lost Prophets since then, just in general at the time, everyone was like, that support band was amazing. In fact, at the time, my mate who I went to the gig with didn't realise that Skindred weren't Lost Prophets and went to go home after Skindred. After seeing Lost Prophets afterwards, maybe we should have, because they weren't that great live. But anyway, Skindred are one of the UK's best live bands, bar none, from pop, rock, whatever. They are one of the best live bands. Benji is one of the nicest people I've ever met, one of the greatest frontmen ever on stage. He will end up being legendary, and this band has started to gain some proper traction in other countries. If you've not experienced reggae metal yet, go check out Skindred, especially Babylon. In at number 12, what is the greatest album by Deftones ever? It's White Pony. Of course it's White Pony. How could I have this list and not have White Pony by the Deftones on here? This was, and still to this day stands up as, an absolutely incredible metal album. They take all their influences from The Cure, The Smiths, all their metal influences, and they mix them together in something that is just absolute joy to behold. Even gives bands like Tool a run for their money in the Atmosphere stakes. In fact, talking of Tool, a song called Passenger on here, which is one of my favourite Deftones songs of all time, involves the lead singer of Tool on guest vocals, Maynard James Keenan, that's his name. And if you have not heard this album, it's a great album to chill to, great album to rock out to, and if you've not heard it, you need to hear this album, and hopefully it will get you into one of the most unique and incredible metal bands on the planet. In at number 11, my favourite Cannibal Corpse album, Tomb of the Mutilated. Obvious choice? Maybe. This is the album with Hammer Smash Face on it, of course. But just every track on here is incredible. Chris Barnes really took his vocals to a new extreme on this album as well. And there's just something about the way the vocals and the music kind of mesh together that create this new level of brutality that Cannibal Corpse could do on this album. And they followed it up with The Bleeding, another absolutely fantastic album as well. And yeah, this is my favourite Cannibal Corpse album. If you like your death metal, you owe it to yourself to own this album in your collection. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. That is the end of the countdown from 19 through to 10. Well, saying 19 through to 10. Was it 19 through to 10? Oh god, I've lost it. No, 19 through to 11. Tomorrow, well, when I next put the next video up, it will be the final part of the countdown, 10 to my number one favourite album of all time. And it's going to shock some people, and it's going to surprise some people. Other people, maybe not so much. But yes, anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you want to become one of my patrons, please go ahead. The link is up there on the screen right now. Any money you put towards the channel is much appreciated. And as always, if you have any ideas that I could do for rewards for the different pay grades, etc., please let me know, because I'm really crap at thinking of ideas for that. But I will be back soon with the final part of this countdown, along with more videos, because I want to get this channel up and running and really going again. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to check out my radio show every Sunday from 9 AM EST, 2 PM GMT on thatmetalstation.com, and I will see you next time.